Okay, so the effectiveness of SSRIs. I probably should have mentioned in the last video, I've gone from having a beard to being a bit stubbly here. There's a bit of a delay in between recording these the two sets of videos. That's why I've had a bit of an appearance change, costume change. So don't worry about that. Okay, just reviewing where we've been so far. Last lesson we looked at SSRIs and drug therapy, and now we're going to review the research, and so look further at that study by McNamara. And what we want to be able to explain here is how might SSRIs reduce symptoms of PTSD. So a lot of research shows that they do, but we want to go into more detail in explaining how that is by looking at their effect on specific parts of the brain, and more importantly looking at their effect on particular parts of the brain during cognitive reappraisal, particular parts of the brain associated with cognitive reappraisal. And so that's what we're going to look at in this unit. What I like to do as a hook, we look at this. There's a video about how drug trials work, and then just watch the first 2 minutes of this documentary. A bunch of guys in the UK went for a clinical trial for a cancer drug, and it almost killed them. They end up in hospital, in intensive care. I think the unit plan's got a link to the. I'm sorry, you've got the full documentary here to watch, and it's fascinating and really scary stuff. So a really good hook to talk about clinical drug trials. Would you sign up for them as well? And so then we can talk about pros and cons. One guy lost his fingers and all his toes. He was paid £2 million, and then we can say, well, should he be compensated? Should the company have to pay that, or is that part of signing up? Is that part of informed consent? And so there's lots of here to discuss. That's a really good hook at looking at clinical drug trials. Then a basic chalk and talk. Now, if you don't want to chalk and talk the study, there is an alternative activity idea in the activities, a drama style activity to go over the study. But since we touched on it, and students should have learned about it in the previous lesson, you might not think it's necessary, and just reviewing it this way is what I will do in it, because I think this is enough. And so we explain through the study what they found. So not only now the basic result is that it reduced the CAP scores, right? The clinically administered PTSD scale. 12 out of 17 participants were at least 50% reduction. So that shows that it works. Great. And so for some students that might be as far as they comprehend, but really what we're looking at is the parts of the brain. Okay, so we're looking at prefrontal cortex as well, and the amygdala. These things were affected by the treatment of SSRIs, and so now we're getting to more of the how it might help, and so the SSRIs might improve function in parts of the brain that are going to help with cognitive processes. Okay, and so that's the key part about it. Yeah, I don't know why I've doubled up slides there. And then what I would do is allow students, a good 10 or 15 minutes to actually write the answer to this in their workbooks. And because this might seem quite simple, but being able to articulate it and write it out is really important. And this is also recapping the etiologies. If they can make the link with the SSRIs is going to increase function in particular parts of the brain, and how that might help alleviate symptoms, it will be reinforcing their ability to explain etiologies as well, because they're going to be practicing explaining how all the things are connected. So I'd leave plenty of time for that. Exit ticket idea here, if you like. When you learn most effectively, and so just an open-ended exit ticket if you want to learn a little bit of something about your students. Sometimes I like throwing out these things out here where I just get a little bit of insight into my students, because I can't talk to them one-to-one all the time. So just getting a 1 to 2 sentence revelation like this can sometimes help. Okay, and so that's biological treatment. Just 2 lessons. You might not think that's enough. Feel free to add more to it if you like. Remember, we only have been given 20 hours though, so it's a bit tricky to get through everything. And the next topic we'll do psychological treatment, and again there'll be 2 lessons looking at that as well.